Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm Nancy Bora and you're watching Newsnan. And our top focus at this hour is US President Donald Trump has triggered fresh concerns over a possible escalation in the West Asia after posting a cryptic image on Truth Social amid stalled US-Iran negotiations and a fragile ceasefire in the region. The uncaptioned image showed a map of the West Asia covered with American flag, while multiple red arrows pointed directly towards Iran. A visual many analysts are now seeing as a sign of increasing pressure on Tehran. The post comes at a time when diplomatic efforts between Washington and Tehran appear to have hit a deadlock. Both sides have reportedly rejected each other's latest proposals over sanction release, nuclear restrictions, and compensations linked to the month of conflict in the region. Donald Trump has recently hardened his rhetoric against Iran, warning that there would be nothing left of the country if negotiations fail. He also claimed that current ceasefire has only 1% chance of surviving. And according to reports, the United States has demanded that Iran hand over enriched uranium stockpiles, scale back its nuclear program, and drop compensation demands before any long-term agreement is considered. Iran, on the other hand, is insisting on sanctions relief, compensation for damages caused during the conflict, and recognition of its strategic control over the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical shipping routes. Geopolitical experts say that Donald Trump's image may also reference growing American military deployments in the Persian Gulf and coordinated pressure from US allies in the region. The tensions come months after direct hostilities between Iran and the United States and Israel, including strikes on Iranian military and nuclear-linked facilities, missile exchanges, and threats to maritime trade routes as well. Reports now suggest that the Pentagon is preparing fresh military options in case negotiations collapse completely, raising fears that the West Asia could be heading towards another major confrontation. I'm being joined by defense expert Major General Sanjay is with me on the broadcast. Mr. Sanjay, how do you see this? Do you think that this rhetoric of Donald Trump will finally turn into some military action? Because we see that there's a fragile ceasefire in place right now, but Donald Trump, every day, he's throwing around another warning to Iran. And this time around, he has shared an image, a map of Iran with red arrows pointing towards Iran. Do you think that he's hinting towards a multi-front attack on Iran this time? Or is the clock really ticking, or is just an empty threat?
Nancy, it's very, very difficult to predict what Trump will do tomorrow.
Right.
However, keeping in with the present situation, after his return from China, things have crystallized a little bit that probably they have, America has to look for their image saving also. At present, the kind of image drubbing they got in China, when China spoke very clearly about Taiwan and other issues. However, when Trump came back, he said that we had a very good deal. We did a lot of trade deals, and China is a good friend. All those things, rhetorics are there. That is mainly for the domestic population. However, when it comes to Iran, I don't think so anything major happened, and America has to do something. They had a word with Netanyahu, and I think there's more of pressure of Israel that unless they do something, the more things are getting prolonged. The Gulf countries are getting restless. The countries across the globe are getting restless. America is having a loss of face. They are no longer being treated as superpower. People have lost their faith in USA to defend them. So it is a US has to do something. And now, what as a military point of view, when I say and probably US will do the coercive action. One master stroke they did was they put a blockade on the Iran. So that is one major pressure point on Iran. However, if they do the military action, it has to be multi-pronged, though boots on ground will remain challenging, but some special force operations could be there. They
Right.
could simultaneously target their IRGC headquarters, they can target their nuclear site, they can target their whatever little bit of military air defense assets or naval assets are there, they would like to target them, and whatever rockets and batteries and drones are there, which are denying movement on the Strait of Hormuz, they would like to destroy them and carry out operations.
Uh,
But definitely, yes,
right.
Nancy.
Major General, please continue.
Yeah, but however, a second thing would be that they could continue with the gradual engagements,
Right.
little bit. But at present, what has happened is that both sides have given such a big list of demands, which is almost impossible for other side to digest or to accept, because ultimately they also have to show face in their own country for their domestic population. So somewhere they need to scale down, and they may start with some accepting of some demands, like maybe partial opening of Strait of Hormuz and US removing the blockade. That's one confidence building measure, and rest of the things could gradually take place, maybe even over a period of 1 year. Things may go on, but the fact is, as long as Strait of Hormuz opens and America removes the blockade, the world will have a sigh of relief, and they will definitely appreciate that they are looking forward for this. But the fact is, it is a very big challenge, whether they will do it and how they will do it, Nancy.
Right, Major General. Since you mentioned the Hormuz blockade, we saw a rise of 2% in the crude oil today. After his warning, the moment he has warned Iran, we can see that the markets are reacting very quickly to Donald Trump's warnings and threats. How do you think and how do you see this development? Because how many more global oil shocks do we have to go through before we see some kind of light in the end of the tunnel between this US and Iran war? Because as you correctly mentioned, the conditions that both the countries are setting for each other is non-acceptable for the other party.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, the Strait of Hormuz remain one major issue, not only for these two parties, rather Israel also included, but for the rest of the world. Because as you rightly brought out, one tweet of the Trump has taken the price of the crude by $2, which definitely is already affecting the economies of the world. The economy are slowing down. The people are feeling restless. They do not know what will happen tomorrow, and with these kind of tweet also they do not know how the things will turn next day, and where will this prices of crude go. So there's some sort of a restlessness is there among the common people in the countries both in Europe, Asia and Gulf countries. Survival is also on the oil. If their oil does not go, they are not able to export. Ultimately their economies are suffering and their storage capacity is also getting filled up. So challenges are both for buyers and sellers. Both want Strait of Hormuz to open, but from military point of view, it is not so easy to open, because the kind of geography which is there, it is dominated by slightly higher reaches on the Iranian side. We have discussed it on your channel number of times, that is very narrow, and then they can dominate it from the shore only. They don't need a full-fledged navy. They have speedboats, mining, rockets, artillery, drones. Anything and everything can be used against any passing ship, and container ships are very, very vulnerable. They are huge ships, and their speed is slow, and they are an easy target. No insurance company is accepting, and no container company will like to take that kind of risk. So at present, unless there's some sort of agreement is there between both the sides, I think it will be a big challenge for to open the Strait of Hormuz militarily, Nancy.
Well, that's right, Major General. We have also reported a strike on UAE's nuclear facility as well amid this escalating tensions. Uh, if this war is dragged for, let's say, another 2 3 months, do you think that the military targets in this conflict will expand and it will start? They will start attacking nuclear energy facilities, which will eventually make conditions difficult for the rest of the world as well.
Absolutely. In fact, because the military targets, when they realize that you are not able to achieve anything worthwhile, or you're not able to get other party on the knees, then probably these kind of targets could be there. There were reports of Israel carrying out targets on Iran's oil infrastructure, but which was checked by the US as a sort of a maybe confidence building, or they were looking forward for using those for their own purpose. And if these kind of attack continue, another target, vulnerable target, is desalination plants. Because drinking water, most of Gulf countries are dependent on these plants. If these are also attacked, or nuclear facilities attacked, it is absolutely can create a havoc on these areas. And I think Iran has also brought out at one point that they can make use of dirty bombs. So these are all challenges which are there, which can could create a problem for common people, civilization, humanity, and I don't think the UN and other human rights organizations are working. They should be locked, and I think they should be closed down. I think only way out, which India has been suggesting, is the dialogue. Somehow, if both countries agree for one small little thing of opening a Strait of Hormuz and US removing the blockade, and rest of the thing can gradually happen because these are maximalist demands which can only happen, but some toning down of demands could be there gradually. Nancy.
That's right, Major General. If you have to simplify it for the viewers, there are a lot of sticky points between US and Iran at this point. Do you think that there is a hope for a ceasefire between the two countries? Do you think that there can be a middle road where both the countries meet and end the hostility so that the world can take a sigh of relief?
It's a big challenge, but the way I think 40 days have 28th February, the first strike took place, and so people thought that this will be over in 10 days. The things are going on.
6 weeks was the
Clear.
deadline set by Donald Trump when he
Yeah.
started his operation against Iran. But looks
So
like there is
you can
no deadline in
absolutely.
sight.
Absolutely, Nancy. In fact, you can start a war you do not know. It is not in your hands to finish it. It is in
Right.
the other party's hand. And in spite of all the total destruction and what we have seen on the channel also, leadership decimated, the army, navy destroyed, but
Right.
still they are not in no mood to surrender. So ultimately, one has to understand the other person's psyche also. They are not living in luxury. The sanction have not made any difference to them, to the Iranians. US has to understand the psychology of the Iranian, how they can be tackled, what is how they can address them. Somewhere you have to put yourself in other person's shoes and understand. Then only things will happen. Probably, if you think that I will kill them, I will destroy them. US did it in Vietnam for so many years. They used chemical weapons. They did in Korea. They did in Afghanistan. Things people don't surrender. They don't capitulate. They can continue to fight and can keep on creating problems. The country may be destroyed fully, but the people can continue to fight. That's the thing US has to
In
understand,
between,
and they
Major,
have to probably
I'm so
yes.
sorry to cut you in between, but do you think that Donald Trump underestimated his enemy this time?
Absolutely, Nancy. You have hit the nail on the head. Donald Trump totally underestimated because the kind of couple of successes Donald Trump had got in Venezuela and some other countries and other countries accepted the demand. He thought that he's the king and US can do anything and everything. But the fact is, here another angle which comes is a role of China and Russia because they would not like Iran to fall into the hands of US and Iran to sign on dotted lines by the USA because this is the only country in Middle East which is supporting Russia and China because if they lose Iran, so then they have already lost Libya, they lost Egypt, they lost Syria. Now this is the only country which is with them. And if we see in the world of in the two groups, Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, if Iran goes, they lose a major flank, major pillar, and they would not like to do it. That's why probably indirectly they are also fully supporting it, and they would like Iran to continue to fight unless US accepts the terms and conditions partially as laid down by Iran also. Nancy.